Hello everyone, I am Muskan Moudgill and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This video is going to be the complete guide to the NAVLE, which is the North American Veterinary Licensing Examination. I have tried to be as inclusive as possible in this video, covering so many different aspects and details. So watch this video till the end and I hope you're able to learn something new by the end of this video. So without any further delay, let's get started. Let's begin with what actually NAVLE is. So NAVLE is a test administered by ICVA, which is the International Council for Veterinary Assessment. This is a licensing examination required to work as a veterinary doctor in the US territories and Canada. Now you might wonder कि भाई मैं तो एक overseas student हूँ from India and my university is not even AVMA, which is the American Veterinary Medical Association accredited. तो मेरी डिग्री एज सच इज़ नॉट कंसिडर्ड वैलिड इन द फॉरेन कंट्रीज. तो कैन आई स्टिल स्टैंड एट पार विद द फॉरेन ग्रेजुएट्स? द आंसर इज येस. However, the pathway to become eligible to even sit in NAVLE examination is very different, considering that you are an overseas graduate, be it from India or any other country where your university is not AVMA accredited. So let's get a brief overview of how. सबसे पहले तो you will need to verify your credentials that yes, your degree is equally valid than any other AVMA accredited college. For this task, there are two pathways जो हम follow कर सकते हैं. One is verifying your credentials through ECFVG and the second one is PAVE Pathway. I'll tell you everything in detail about these pathways further in the video. Next comes English proficiency. Now, even though there are 4 test options to choose from, but the most famous ones are, of course, the TOEFL and IELTS examination. इसके बाद we'll have to go through a basic examination to test all your basic scientific and clinical knowledge. अगर आप ECFVG pathway follow कर रहे हो, so you'll have to appear in BCSC, and अगर आप PAVE pathway follow कर रहे हो, so you'll have to go through BSc. Finally, इतना सब करने के बाद you will be considered at par to a student who has graduated from a AVMA accredited college. तो चलिए अब इन सब steps की in depth discussion करते हैं. As I said, there are two pathways. First is the ECFVG, which is Educational Commission for Foreign Veterinary Graduates, and the other pathway is PAVE, Program for Assessment of Veterinary Education Equivalence. तो ये जो ECFVG pathway है, this is operated by AVMA itself and इसके 4 steps होते हैं जिनकी हम पहले fee details की बात कर लेते हैं. The first one is application and credential verification. इसमें खास कुछ नहीं है. All they do is कि वो verify करते हैं कि आपकी डिग्री actually में real है, valid है. They send official email to the dean of your college and he'll just have to send a signed and stamped performa to them through the official ID itself. For this, उनकी processing fee is $1,400 which is equivalent to 1,04,600 Indian rupees. Next comes English proficiency. तो अगर आपने TOEFL या IELTS देना है तो उसमें 14 to 16,000 लग जाते हैं approximately. Next comes BCSE, which is the Basic Clinical Science Examination. इसकी फ़ी AVMA ने $220 रखी है, which is approximately again equal to 16,400 Indian rupees. And इसके बाद finally comes the CPE, which is Clinical Proficiency Examination. इसमें वो आपके hands on practical लेते हैं and the fee is $7,630, which comes out to be 5,70,500 Indian rupees. A very interesting thing to note here is कि ये जो सारे 7-8 लाख रुपए हैं, this is just the one time fee of the whole process. मतलब मान लीजिए कि अगर आपके सारे steps आपके एक ही try में complete हो गए, so that is when 7 से 8 लाख रुपए लगेंगे. अगर कोई भी step आपको दोबारा repeat करना हुआ, so you can add on the application fees every time. अब ECFVG के पहले स्टेप की बात करें सो इन क्रेडेंशियल वेरिफिकेशन जो आपसे वो $1,400 लेंगे, इसमें से $675 is the application fee and this is always non-refundable. $725 is the QAP Quality Assurance Program fee. ये रिफंडेबल है तभी अगर आपने अपना ये प्रोसेस कैंसिल करना है within 60 days of initial application. Another very interesting point to note here is this registration is valid फॉर ओनली अप टू 2 years. तो मान लीजिए कि आपने अपनी क्रीडेंशियल्स वेरीफाई करा लिए, बट आप नेक्स्ट 2 years में NAVLE नहीं क्लियर कर पाए, सो यू विल हैव टू पे अ री रजिस्ट्रेशन फ़ी of $120, which is around 8900 Indian rupees, and the application can be reactivated within a span of 7 years, after which your details are permanently destroyed. Now let's talk about the English proficiency. अगर आप ECFVG pathway follow कर रहे हैं, so these are the minimum scores that you'll have to obtain through TOEFL or IELTS इन ईच मॉड्यूल इन वन सिटिंग. मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर आपके सारे लिसनिंग राइटिंग स्पीकिंग आ गए एक बार में टॉफिल में, बट आपकी रीडिंग के मार्क्स थोड़े कम रहेंगे, सो यू कैन नॉट गिव इट सेपरेटली इन नेक्स्ट ईयर. ऑल दीज have to be met in one single sitting, and these exams are valid for only 2 years. So if you use your English proficiency test scores which are older than 2 years, तो अगर आप उनको यूज़ करते हैं फॉर NAVLE एप्लीकेशन, दोज विल नॉट बी कंसिडर्ड वैलिड. नाउ लेट्स से योर स्टेप 1 and 2 ऑफ ECFVG pathway इज डन, यू हैव वेरीफाइड योर क्रेडेंशियल्स, योर इंग्लिश प्रोफिशिएंसी एग्जाम इज डन. तो उसके बाद द स्टेप 3 and स्टेप 4 ऑफ ECFVG अकॉर्डिंग टू द लेटेस्ट गाइडलाइंस मस्ट बी कम्प्लीटेड विद इन 7 years ऑफ इनिशियल एनरोलमेंट. उसके बाद अगर आप अप्लाई करते हो, सो यू विल हैव टू कम्प्लीट स्टेप 1 and स्टेप 2 ऑल ओवर अगैन. अब बात आती है द स्टेप 3 ऑफ दिस पाथवे, विच इज़ BCSE एग्जामिनेशन, बेसिक एंड क्लिनिकल साइंस एग्जामिनेशन. ये भी AVM में खुद कंडक्ट करवाती है. व्हाट इट इज़ बेसिकली अ 4 hour कंप्यूटर बेस्ड MCQ एग्जामिनेशन. इसमें आपको 225 MCQs इन टोटल आंसर करने होते हैं. सो दीज इंक्लूड मैचिंग, ड्रैग एंड ड्रॉप, हॉटस्पॉट. बट इनमें से कोई भी MCQ या क्वेश्चन ऐसा नहीं होगा जहाँ पे आपको टाइप करने की ज़रूरत हो शॉर्ट आंसर्स या पैराग्राफ. The fee for BCSE to be paid is $220, which is roughly around, as we discussed earlier, 16,400 rupees. And BCSE examination is offered throughout the year. बट जो याद रखने की चीज़ है, इट इज़ वन टेस्ट अटेम्प्ट. मतलब अगर आप एक बार में फ़ेल हो जाते हैं तो भले आप साल में दोबारा जब मर्ज़ी ये एग्ज़ाम दे सकते हैं, बट यू विल हैव टू पे योर फ़ी अगेन एट ईच रीटेस्टिंग. 2016 की गाइडलाइंस के बाद से देयर इज़ रिक्वायर्ड कि आपके हर टेस्ट अटेम्प्ट के बीच 4 months गैप होना चाहिए. सो इनडायरेक्टली इन 1 year यू कैन अपीयर फॉर BCSE एग्जामिनेशन ओनली 3 times. एंड बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग बात है कि BCSE की कोई भी लिमिट नहीं है, आप जितनी बार मर्जी इस एग्ज़ाम में अपीयर हो सकते हैं अपनी लाइफ टाइम में. नाउ लेट्स टॉक अबाउट BCS एग्जामिनेशन के जो टेस्ट सेंटर्स हैं वो कहाँ कहाँ लोकेटेड हैं. अगर आपने US टेरिटरीज़ या कनाडा में से ही कहीं से इस कंप्यूटर बेस्ड टेस्ट के लिए अपीयर होना है, तो देयर विल बी नो एक्स्ट्रा एप्लीकेशन चार्जेस. हाउएवर अगर आपने किसी और कंट्री से, आप समझ लीजिए कि अपने होम टाउन के नज़दीक किसी टेस्ट सेंटर से अपीयर होना है, इफ़ इट इज़ इन एशिया पैसिफिक यू विल हैव टू पे एक्स्ट्रा चार्जेस ऑफ $44.29. अगर आप चाइना में कहीं टेस्ट सेंटर में लोकेशन में अपीयर होना चाहते हैं, सो यू विल हैव टू पे $20.6 एक्स्ट्रा. और अगर यूरोप, मिडल ईस्ट, एशिया में से कहीं पे आप टेस्ट सेंटर लोकेट करना चाहते हैं, यू विल हैव टू पे अगेन $44.29 एक्स्ट्रा एप्लीकेशन फ़ीस. इफ़ वी टॉक अबाउट द स्कोर रेंज, BCSE में आप मिनिमम 300 एंड मैक्सिमम अराउंड 900 मार्क्स स्कोर कर सकते हैं. एंड टू बी एलिजिबल फॉर नेक्स्ट स्टेप यू विल हैव टू स्कोर मिनिमम स्कोर कॉम्पिटेंसी ऑफ एटलीस्ट 580 मार्क्स. Moving on to the fourth and final step of ECFVG pathway, which is CPE, Clinical Proficiency Examination. Basically, this examination is intended to assess the practical clinical veterinary skills of you as an entry-level veterinarian. This exam is not theory based. ये सारा एग्ज़ाम hands on performance based टेस्ट होता है. इट इज़ 3-day एग्जामिनेशन. आप 7 sections में अपीयर होते हैं एंड दीज 7 sections विल एक्सेस योर क्लिनिकल स्किल्स एग्जामिनेशन. तो ये कहाँ कहाँ आप दे सकते हैं? दिस इज़ एडमिनिस्टर्ड बाय फैकल्टी ऑफ अ कॉलेज ऑफ वेटनरी मेडिसिन या कोई और ऑथराइज्ड टेस्टिंग इंस्टीट्यूट. आई हैव अटैच्ड द लिंक इन द डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स बिलो. सो इस एग्ज़ाम के लिए अगर कोई भी कैंडिडेट प्रिपेयर कर रहा है, सो दैट कैंडिडेट शुड हैव क्लिनिकल एक्सपीरियंस एज वेल एज बेसिक एनिमल हैंडलिंग और हस्बेंड्री स्किल्स. और इस एग्ज़ाम में मोस्ट एम्फोसिस इज़ प्लेस्ड ऑन डॉग, कैट, हॉर्स एंड काउ. एंड यूजुअली शीप, गोट एंड पिग्स के एम्फोसिस उतना नहीं होता है इस एग्ज़ाम में, बट यू शुड नो अबाउट बोथ दीज सेक्शंस. US और कनाडा में communication skills and service to client is considered very important and they give a very high priority to these skills. So throughout your CPE examination जो candidates हैं they are expected to communicate clearly and effectively with the client. तो client का role is played by examiner and you as a promising future veterinarian आपने अपनी communication skills showcase करनी है in terms of taking accurate history. Communicate information to the client including clinical findings, diagnostic plans, test results, interpretations, therapeutic options and prognosis. तो ये तो आ गई क्लाइंट कम्युनिकेशन की आप पूरी सिंपथी से पूरे लेमैन टर्म्स में कितनी इफेक्टिवली आप अपना पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू रख सकते हैं. बट अदर सेक्शंस विल ऑल्सो रिक्वायर द कैंडिडेट टू एक्सप्लेन ऑल दीज फाइंडिंग्स टू एग्जामिनर डायरेक्टली. अगर आप इन किसी भी एरियाज़ में लैक करते हैं, अगर आपकी एंट्री लेवल कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स उतनी स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं है इन इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज, दिस विल नेगेटिवली इम्पैक्ट योर ओवरऑल स्कोर इन द CPE एग्जामिनेशन. So the 7 sections that I mentioned in CPE are anesthesia, canine, equine practice, food animal practice, necropsy, radiographic positioning of small animal medicine, and finally the surgery. In this, you should know how to perform the canine ovariohysterectomy, and the latest MOA as per the 2022 guidelines have been attached in the description box below. So make sure you read the clinical proficiency examination MOA. तो उसमें आपको पता लगेगा कि आप हर सेक्शन में आपको कौन सा ऑपरेशन करना है या क्या क्लिनिकल स्किल डेमोन्स्ट्रेट करनी है with all complete clarity. Now let's talk about an alternative pathway. अगर आपने ECFVG follow नहीं करना है then you are stuck with PAVE. This is operated by AAVSB, which is the American Association of Veterinary State Boards. Like ECFVG, इसके भी 4 steps हैं. The first one is same, application and credential verification. But PAVE pathway takes only around $375, which is 28,000 Indian rupees to verify your degree credentials. Next comes English proficiency, again TOEFL और IELTS. उसमें आपको 14 से 16,000 rupees लग जाएंगे. Now instead of BCSE you will appear in QSE, which is qualifying science examination. इसकी examination fee is $1,500, which is around 1,12,000 Indian rupees. Now comes a very attractive but equally very costly step, which is ECE, evaluated clinical experience. तो इसमें आपको क्या करना होता है, there are 4 American universities which currently offer this. तो आपको उन चारों में से किसी एक अमेरिकन यूनिवर्सिटी में 1 year इंटर्नशिप करने का मौका मिलता है. यू विल गेट एक्सपोजर टू क्लिनिकल एक्सपीरियंस इन दोज वन ऑफ द 4 यूनिवर्सिटीज़. मैंने डिटेल्स अटैच कर दी हैं डिस्क्रिप्शन बॉक्स में. बट ऑल्सो गेस वॉट इन रिटर्न. नाउ यू विल हैव टू पे 180 वीक्स की पूरी फीस ऑफ दीज यूनिवर्सिटीज़, which are obviously around 41,000 to 45,000 US dollars. This is, oh my god, 30 lakh Indian rupees for 1 year internship opportunity. So this is also one time fee of the whole process. The good news however is कि after the 2007 guidelines, अगर आपने step 3 which is the qualifying science examination आपने successfully complete कर लिया है, तो you are eligible to apply for NAVLE examination itself, which means during your clinical internship you can also appear in the NAVLE examination. Another plus point is कि अगर आपने PAVE pathway successfully सारा complete कर लिया है, so this is your lifetime accreditation for the same. ये पूरी लाइफ आपका एक्सपायर नहीं होगा. However, QSC जो एग्ज़ाम है दैट इज़ वैलिड फॉर अ मैक्सिमम ऑफ 4 years. इसका मतलब आप QSC में अपेयर होने के 4 साल में आप अपना NAVLE क्लियर कर लीजिए एंड उसके बाद फॉर द होल लाइफ टाइम योर पेव इज़ एक्रेडिटेड एज सच. इंग्लिश प्रोफिशिएंसी की अगर बात करूँ, सो थ्रू पेव पाथवे द minimum scores required in the modules of TOEFL and IELTS are a bit on the higher side in contrast to the ECFVG pathway, but वो इतने भी high नहीं है that they are completely unachievable or difficult to achieve. So these are easy, but as compared to ECFVG they are comparatively higher. अब जाके finally बात आती है for the actual NAVLE examination. आपके credentials और English proficiency verify हो चुकी है. Now you are at par with a foreign graduate. अब आपको NAVLE में क्या कुछ करना पड़ेगा, so that's what we will be discussing right now. Let's get clear with the fee details first. If you want to test yourself in the US, you will have to pay a fee of $705 and अगर आपने overseas किसी टेस्ट सेंटर में अपेयर होना है, so that you will have to pay an additional amount of $340. तो ये हो गए 52,000 प्लस रफली 25,000 एक्स्ट्रा अगर आपने ओवरसीज़ में कहीं अपेयर होना है. इफ़ इन US you don't have to give those extra money. Now let's talk about all the important points of the NAVLE exam itself. NAVLE is a computer-based test in which you will have to answer 360 clinical-based MCQs, and boss, इनका level is comparatively really high. You will not even imagine कहाँ से कोई भी question पूछ लेंगे. If you have strong basics and strong clinical knowledge, you will definitely be able to pass NAVLE. But अगर आपका नहीं भी pass होता है in the first attempt, like you're definitely not questioned, your knowledge is not questioned as a veterinarian, provided NAVLE is one of the trickiest exam a veterinarian has to give, and it is not the ultimate test of anyone's ability. It is totally just a normal test, but with the right amount of strategy you will definitely be able to clear it and work as a veterinarian in US or Canada. The exam is held twice a year. There is a 4-week window during November, December, and then there is a 2-week window during the April month as well. Another very challenging aspect of this examination is that the total NAVLE examination takes around 7 hours to complete. Now there are 6 sections in this examination including 60 questions each, and for each section there is 65 minutes total given. So roughly we can say that there is 1 minute and 5 seconds for each question, but it all depends on how fast you complete your sections. Now you might also think कि इतना 7 घंटे का examination, is there a break in between? Yes, you have a 45-minute break in total. तो आप इस break को in between sections consume कर सकते हैं. Let's say कि आपने पहला, दूसरा, तीसरा section 1 go में complete कर लिया, तो उसके बाद आप थक गए, so you can take like 10 minutes or 15 minutes break, but total आपको 45 minutes का break आप जब मर्जी ले सकते हैं. इन बिटवीन सेक्शंस आप सेक्शन के बीच में से उठ के नहीं जा सकते. अगर आपने एक सेक्शन कंप्लीट कर लिया, सो यू आर एबल टू टेक द ब्रेक. नाउ लेट्स टॉक अबाउट दी स्टडी टिप्स. तो सबसे पहले तो नेवर एवर प्रिपेयर फॉर NAVLE अलोन. इफ़ यू हैव एनी फ्रेंड और अ कम्युनिटी ऑफ वेटनरी स्टूडेंट्स हु आर ऑल्सो प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर NAVLE, make sure to connect with them and discuss the possibility of questions or discuss the solutions to different answers. This will not only help you learn a lot better but also provide you with a certain amount of exposure. Next, there are also various websites which provide you the subscription packages of 45 days, 90 days and 180 days as per your convenience and requirement. The two most widely used and most popular websites for NAVLE preparation is the VetPrep and Zuku Review. In VetPrep, ranging from around $489 to $290, you get various premium or standard packages regarding the NAVLE questions, and same goes for Zuku Review. The pricing is almost similar, but Zuku is very highly acclaimed for the BCSE and QSC examination, and VetPrep is for the NAVLE, the main examination itself. But keeping these paid subscriptions aside, there are also various other online study materials and free practice questions for NAVLE, and you can surely check them out. Search Google a bit and you will definitely find something to study about. Talking about the passing marks and the score range, the minimum marks that you can score in NAVLE is 200 with the maximum score of 800. The passing cutoff varies every year based on the questions and various other factors. However, a score of 70% is usually considered safe. Now let's move on to the question answer session. I earlier this day uploaded a story on my Instagram and also a post on my community tab asking to submit various questions you have regarding NAVLE preparation or examination. So let's answer those. But before we start with the question answer session, I request you to go through all the links provided in the description box. I have added the link to so many different official as well as latest documents that you can go through. You can read them if you want to have a certain amount of more clarity regarding any of the sections we discussed about the NAVLE examination. Talking about all the queries and doubts that you all submitted, I have already answered many of them in my presentation itself, but there were a few questions remaining, so let's talk about them. Starting with the questions that I received on my Instagram story. Can I give NAVLE first and then give the practical exam after 1 year of clearing NAVLE? Well, the practical exam itself is something that you give during your credential verification, that is during the ECFVG or the PAVE Pathway. So that is when you give the practical examination, and it has to be given before NAVLE. There's no way that you can give it after NAVLE, because till you have completed your all the 4 steps of ECFVG or other pathways, you're not going to be considered eligible for NAVLE. The next question that we have here is, in which year should we start studying for the NAVLE examination? Well, NAVLE is something that you cannot predict, as I had mentioned in my video earlier. So it is the sum total of everything that you're being taught throughout your 5.5-year degree course of BVSC and AH. So there's no set time that you should start studying for NAVLE. Study well for NAVLE in maybe just 6 months or 7 months of preparation, while some need continuous study. So it all depends on you. It all depends on your retention power, and provided that it is the sum total of everything that you have learned in the past 5.5 years. Your basics should be strong from the beginning itself. It's not like that you did not pay attention during your first or second year and then you're telling that in 10 days I will cover all the 2 years of education that I received. So that does not even make sense. So you should have your basics clear, and you should have a strong control and strong hold on your knowledge from the day one of the degree of itself. The next question that we have is, I have heard that we can apply for NAVLE in our 4th or 5th year. Is it true? As per the details given on the official website, it is written that the NAVLE is administered only to the foreign graduates who have enrolled or completed either the ECFVG or the PAVE program. If enrolled, they must have completed step 3 of the program to be eligible, and if they have not graduated, they must have an expected graduation date of no later than 10 months from the last day of the testing window. The next question that we have here is, which test for Australia? Well, as you might have already known that the NAVLE examination is to work as a licensed veterinarian in the US territories or Canada. There are certain licensing examinations that you will have to give in Australia or New Zealand, and for those countries it is AVE, which is the Australasian Veterinary Examination. If you would like to have a video separately made on the AVE process, please let me know and I'll make the video for sure. The next question that we have here is number of tries. Well, talking about the NAVLE exam itself, there are 5 tries awarded to all the candidates, which means you can appear in the NAVLE examination 5 times. However, if you talk about the various examinations that we give during the credential verification, that is the basic science and clinical examination, the number of attempts is unlimited. There is no lifetime number of attempts. The next question is it really hard to pass NAVLE for an Indian student, and also what are some coaching institutes? So I would not say that NAVLE is a tough examination for Indian students regardless of your nationality. NAVLE in itself is a difficult exam, but as I discussed in the presentation itself, that with the right strategy and with the right mindset, it is not tough to crack at all. There are so many Indian graduates who have successfully passed through all the NAVLE examinations, but then there are also some who could not make it to the final step. So it all depends on you, but in general it is tough exam but not completely unachievable. The next question is there any coaching classes for NAVLE or self-study? So as I discussed in the presentation, I would not recommend self-study. I would always recommend you to have a community of fellow friends or veterinary students who are preparing for NAVLE to make your the process easier for yourself. Talking about the coaching classes, I am not sure about any well-established coaching classes as for now. However, the 2 most widely used platforms for NAVLE preparation are the VetPrep and Zuku Review. The links are attached in the description box below, and I have also talked about them in the presentation. Now let's move on to the questions that I received on my community post through YouTube. The first question is, what is the exam pattern of NAVLE and how much marks are required to qualify? I already explained the NAVLE exam pattern in detail during the presentation, but I'll just repeat it very quickly. So there are 6 sections of 60 questions each and 65 minutes each. The exam is 7 hours long with a total of 45-minute break that you can take in between sections. There is the provision of on-screen calculator during your computer-based test, and the safe pass marks are at least you can score at around 70% of the total marks. The next question is, up to which step can we do this exam in India and where? So as I have said that as an overseas student, there are various steps that you have to follow differently as compared to a student that have graduated from AVMA accredited university. So during your credential verification, the step 1 can be done in your in India itself. You just have to pay an online fee and they'll send the email to the dean of your college. The next step, that is English proficiency examination, you can appear for TOEFL and IELTS in India itself. It's no big deal. There are so many centers available as per your residence and hometown. For the third step of the procedure, that is the basic clinical examination, you have the option to either appear in India itself or pay some additional amount of over testing fee so that you can have your test center located in India, China or other parts of Asia Pacific, Egypt or Middle East. But for the fourth step of credential verification, whichever pathway you're following, that is the ECFVG or the PAVE pathway, for the fourth step you will have to be present in the US itself. For example, if you are appearing in your clinical proficiency examination, it is the hands-on examination which is conducted by only 2 universities or testing centers that are available in America. And also, if you're following the PAVE pathway for the 1-year whole clinical rotation, you will have to be present obviously as an intern. So that was all for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like my content, please make sure to subscribe, like and share this video. Thank you so much.